When I teach my design classes, I like to compare art making to cooking. And making a design can be as simple as baking a cake. What do I mean? Hang with me and I'll tell you. Welcome back. I'm Mary Beth Wiggins-Haas, and I'm going to be your guide to understanding the world of design. Now, if somebody handed you a grocery sack with only 5 cooking ingredients in it and said, "Bake me a cake," what would you do? What I hope you wouldn't do is just start throwing things in the bowl and mixing them up, hoping for a good result. No, what you'd probably do, the smart thing to do, is do an internet search for recipes for cakes using only those 5 ingredients. And why would you trust somebody else's recipe? Well, because you hope that they have more baking experience than you do and have learned some tricks along the way. So they have worked hard and long to develop that perfect cake recipe. So I do want you to think about making good design the same way you would think about baking a cake, except that instead of using baking ingredients and a recipe, we're going to be using the elements and the principles of design. So what are the elements and principles of design? Well, the elements are simply the components we use to make the design, much like the baking ingredients. And the principles are the way we put those elements together, much like a recipe. So I have to stop here and make a very important disclaimer. Taking these lessons and watching these videos is not going to turn you into a professional graphic designer. Graphic designers have way more experience, expertise, and knowledge about design. And they're trained in some pretty complex computer applications that take years to perfect. So no, you won't be a graphic designer, but we can learn a lot from them. You need to think of artists and graphic designers as the master chefs of the design world. Now, in design, just like baking that cake we've been talking about, you're only going to get 5 elements: line, shape, texture, value, and color. And with so few elements, you're going to have some pretty good strategies for combining them to come up with a good design. And I have to tell you, and this is probably no surprise, artists and designers do not all agree on what the exact elements and principles of design are. But what I am teaching you is what I have distilled down into a process, a system that will help you work with design in a way that makes sense. Let's begin our design journey by looking more closely at those 5 different elements of design. Once again, they are line, shape, texture, value, and color. Over the course, we'll be looking at each of these separately and individually in more depth, but today I want to concentrate on the one that I think is the most important, and that is value. Why do I think that value is the queen of all the elements? It's because that contrast in value is how we see the world. Most people don't know this, but human beings actually have 2 different systems of vision. One, a primitive one that's been around since the very beginning, and a more sophisticated one that has developed over time due to evolution. These separate systems of vision are actually processed in different areas of the brain. We'll get more into the science of vision and seeing a little later in this course. But the way I see it, the reason we humans have survived is because we were able to see that dark shape moving across the light background. It was a saber-toothed tiger walking across the savannah, and we knew it was time to run like the devil. But what you really need to know is that the first distinction your brain makes when you are looking is what is figure, or what is the thing we are looking at, and what is everything else, or the background. In art and design, this is called the figure-ground relationship. And how do we make the distinction between figure and ground? It's only through value contrast that we can see that. I think I'll stop here because I want to devote the entire video next time to value. In the meantime, be on the lookout for places where contrast and value is what is allowing you to see the world. Please post any questions you might have, and I can't wait to read your comments. And don't forget to subscribe. I look forward to seeing you next time.